Well, if you're watching this, congratulations. You have officially made it to the year 2020. And if this first week is any indication, we are all going to age several decades over the course of the next year. In fact, it was just a few days into the year and people were already talking about World War III, which frankly seems like a huge waste of effort considering the world is already burning. And the news in Vermont has also been pretty strange in its own right. As you've hopefully heard, there were two high-profile resignations just before the holiday break. Vermont Department of Corrections Commissioner Mike Touchette and Burlington Police Chief Brandon Del Pozo. Both resignations were the result of scandals which were uncovered by 7 Days reporters. One involved drug and sexual abuse at a women's prison, and the other involved Twitter. Yeah. Apparently, the Burlington Police Department has struggled to find a leader who is not also an internet troll, which sounds ridiculous, but that is something we're also struggling with nationally, so maybe it's not as weird as it sounds. In other bizarre police news, a Burlington officer has been reprimanded for using foul language in the moments leading up to a violent altercation that led to the death of a 54-year-old man. You heard that right. Apparently, the officer's fist, which broke several of the victim's bones, was much more cordial in its use of vocabulary and was therefore cleared of all charges. Now, personally, I find killing a lot more offensive than swearing, but what the f do I know? Oh shit, oh shit, I am so sorry. Look at that. Nobody died. Weird. In other news, Vermont lawmakers are back in the State House this week for the start of the next legislative session, and it's shaping up to be a big one. This could finally be the year where we pass all the bills that were expected to pass last year and the year before. Once again, minimum wage and paid family leave are the hot ticket items, and once again the Democrats have a supermajority in the House, which means they could potentially override a veto should any bills actually find their way to the governor. So, once again, lawmakers are poised to help out some of the most vulnerable Vermonters. All they need are just a few brave Democrats who are willing to work across the aisle with the Democrats. In hyper-local news, 7 Days recently announced that 13 of its long-term full-time employees have each been made 1% owners of the company. This is tremendously exciting news for fans of independent journalism. It does, however, mean that we have ruined whatever chance we might have had of ever speaking to Bernie Sanders again. I mean, just imagine how angry he's going to be when he finds out that more than half of our owners are 1%ers. Speaking of Bernie Sanders, that dude is surging in both the polls and in the fundraising. In the last few months of last year, he raised $34.5 million. That is more than any other candidate except for President Donald Trump. And Bernie totally did it in a Bernie way. His average donation was about $18, coming from nearly 2 million individuals, whereas Donald Trump's average donation was probably about $2 million, coming from 18 different oligarchs using a complicated web of shell companies to help circumvent American campaign finance laws. But still, an impressive showing. The election is still wide open, so stay tuned to 7 Days for all that coverage as well. That's all I have for you this time. 2020 is and will continue to be a crazy year, so make sure you're taking care of yourself and each other. I'm looking forward to helping you make sense and nonsense of all the news. I'll see you again next time.